The moment she opened her eyes, it felt as if her entire world had been turned upside down. Where was she? The dim flickering of candlelight cast shadows along the elaborately adorned walls that certainly didn't belong to her small apartment in the 21st century. Mei Lin blinked rapidly, her heart thudding in her chest as she tried to make sense of her surroundings. The cold air bit at her skin, and the heavy silk robe wrapped around her felt foreign, too luxurious. Panic bubbled up within her as she took in the unfamiliar sight. Gone were the sounds of bustling city streets, the hum of cars, and the soft glow of streetlights. Instead, she heard distant voices, the rustling of fine silk, and the soft patter of feet moving across what seemed to be an ancient palace. It wasn't possible. Could she have time traveled? Before Mei Lin could process her shocking realization, the door to the room slid open, and two women stepped inside. Their faces were downcast, their hands clasped respectfully in front of them as they bowed low. "Your ladyship," one of them murmured softly, "it is time to prepare for the ceremony." "Ceremony? What ceremony?" Mei Lin felt her heart rate spike as the two women approached her with gentle, but firm hands, guiding her out of the bed she hadn't realized she was in. Her head was spinning with questions, but her throat felt tight, unable to ask a single one. They led her to a large mirror, framed by intricate carvings of phoenixes and dragons, symbols of imperial power. Her own reflection startled her. Her usually tousled hair was now sleek and glossy, pulled up into an elaborate style adorned with golden pins and pearls. Her face was painted delicately, making her look like a living porcelain doll. The outfit she wore was even more extravagant, a vibrant red wedding dress embroidered with gold threads. A wedding? But to whom? Whoa, what's going on? Mei Lin finally managed to ask, her voice trembling. The women exchanged glances, as if her question was odd, but one of them responded with a kind smile. "Your ladyship is marrying into the palace tonight. The emperor has chosen you as the bride of his majesty's most trusted eunuch." The world spun again. A eunuch? She was marrying a eunuch? Her mind scrambled to piece together the surreal situation she found herself in. Time travel? Check. Ancient Chinese palace? Check. And now she was to be wed to a eunuch? Mei Lin's thoughts ran wild, trying to recall any stories or historical dramas she had seen that could explain this. But this wasn't some romantic drama. This was real, and she was in it. As if sensing her panic, the other maid spoke gently. "Do not worry, your ladyship. Lord Shen is known for his loyalty and kindness. He is the emperor's most trusted companion. You will be well taken care of." Before Mei Lin could protest further, the preparations continued, and soon she was ushered out of the room and into a grand hall. The air was thick with incense, and the sound of ceremonial gongs echoed through the palace. The large crowd that had gathered fell silent as she was guided toward the front of the hall, where her soon-to-be husband stood. Mei Lin's breath caught in her throat as her eyes landed on him. Lord Shen, the eunuch she was to marry, stood tall and poised, his striking figure clothed in immaculate robes of dark blue and gold. His face was nothing short of stunning, with sharp, regal features that looked as if they had been chiseled from marble. His long hair was tied back elegantly, and his eyes, dark and mysterious, held a quiet intensity that made her heart skip a beat. But as beautiful as he was, the word eunuch hung in the air like a strange riddle. Why would someone so breathtaking, so perfect, be a eunuch? And why, of all people, had she been chosen to marry him? As the ceremony began, Mei Lin's mind raced, her confusion only deepening. She had no choice but to go along with it for now. Everything felt like a dream. A bizarre, ancient, beautiful dream. That night, as the ceremony concluded, Mei Lin found herself alone with her new husband in their lavishly decorated chamber. The tension in the air was palpable, but Lord Shen remained calm and composed. He offered her a soft, enigmatic smile that made her knees weak, but his gaze was unreadable, as if there were secrets hidden behind his flawless mask. "Do not be afraid," he said quietly, his voice smooth as silk. "I understand that this is sudden for you. It is sudden for me as well," afraid that if she spoke too loudly, the walls might have ears. Lord Shen's smile widened slightly, but it was still shrouded in mystery. "Let us just say that I know more than I appear to." He moved gracefully around the room, lighting the candles one by one, his movements slow and deliberate. There was something both calming and unnerving about him, and despite the situation, Mei Lin found herself strangely intrigued. "You must have many questions," he said, turning back to face her. "I will answer what I can, but first you should rest. Tomorrow things will become clearer." Mei Lin nodded slowly, unsure of what else to say. Her mind was still a storm of confusion, but her body was exhausted from the whirlwind of the day. As she lay down on the massive bed, the scent of jasmine filling the air, she couldn't help but glance at Lord Shen one last time before sleep claimed her. The next morning, Mei Lin awoke to the sound of birds chirping outside the window, and for a brief moment, she wondered if the previous day had been nothing but a vivid dream. But as her eyes adjusted to the opulent surroundings, reality came crashing back. She was still in the palace, still married to a stunningly handsome eunuch. Lord Shen, however, was nowhere to be seen. Instead, a servant entered with a tray of breakfast, bowing politely before setting it down. "His lordship has business with the emperor today," the servant informed her. "He asked me to deliver this message. You are free to explore the palace, but beware of prying eyes." Prying eyes? Mei Lin wasn't sure what to make of that, but she was grateful for the chance to roam around and hopefully find some answers. As she wandered through the palace, she couldn't help but feel the weight of the many eyes on her. Courtiers, servants, and guards all seemed to whisper as she passed, their gazes lingering on her longer than was comfortable. It wasn't until she reached a quiet garden, hidden away from the main halls, that she could finally breathe. And that was when she encountered an old woman tending to the flowers. "You're the new wife of Lord Shen, aren't you?" the woman asked without looking up from her work. There was something about her voice, sharp and knowing, that made Mei Lin pause. "Yes," Mei Lin replied cautiously. "Do you know him well?" The old woman chuckled softly. "As well as anyone can know a man with so many secrets. But let me tell you this, child. Lord Shen may be a eunuch in name, but he is far more powerful than most men in this palace. And you are now part of his world." Mei Lin's breath hitched. She wanted to ask more, to understand what the old woman meant, but before she could, the woman straightened up and walked away, leaving her alone with her thoughts. Over the next few days, Mei Lin's suspicions about Lord Shen only grew. He was polite and distant, never overstepping the boundaries of their marriage, yet there was something about the way he moved through the palace, the way people bowed to him with a hint of fear, that unsettled her. He was not just a simple eunuch, that much was clear. But what was he? A spy? A political mastermind? A man with dangerous secrets? One evening, as they sat together in their chamber, Lord Shen finally broke the silence. "You must be wondering why you were chosen to marry me." Mei Lin looked up at him, her heart pounding. "Yes, I don't understand any of this," he sighed, his handsome face softening for the first time since she had met him. "The truth is, I do not fully understand it either. But what I do know is that our marriage is part of a much larger plan, one that could change the fate of the empire." Mei Lin felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean?" Lord Shen met her gaze, his dark eyes filled with intensity. "There are forces at play in this palace, dangerous forces, and you may be the key to unlocking them." Suddenly, Mei Lin's time-traveling adventure seemed far more perilous than she had ever imagined, and standing at the center of it all was her stunningly handsome, enigmatic eunuch husband, Lord Shen, the man with too many secrets.